Hey dolls, welcome back to my channel. Um, Today what I'm whining about is, well, two things. I'm whining about this DJI that I'm using that for whatever reason I cannot figure out how to get the DJI logo on the bottom because I'm trying to figure it out. Also, I can't get the coloring right, but that's not the point of this one. What we're really talking about today. We're really talking about is this, what I saw recently.
But one thing I need you to know is that I never want to live together. I like my alone time. Whoopi Goldberg said it best once. She was like, I don't want nobody in my house.
We also live in separate places.
And then I came across a woman's post and she showed her home, which was absolutely beautiful. Design-wise, people had a lot to say about it, saying it was very beige and whatever. That's not the point. The point was there was a Mr. Suite and a Madam Suite, and people were up in arms. So she showed before been considered the primary suite had become his Mr. Suite. She took another room, a little bit smaller, but equally as fabulous, its own bathroom, its own closet, its little sitting area, and that was her room. The comments were wild. Tell me you're getting a divorce without tell me you're getting me a divorce. Tell me you don't like your spouse without saying you don't like your spouse. Why did he get the bigger room? All the things. And it was very interesting to me because 2023, New York Times posted an article that stated most couples, not most, maybe 30% of couples do not sleep together. Sleep. Not. And for a myriad of reasons. And I think it made perfect sense. So my parents don't sleep in the same room. Friend, her and her husband don't sleep in the same room. They've been together forever, ever. Before Eddie, it was hard for me because I don't sleep well. I don't sleep heavy. I tell people I could hear a mouse piss on cotton. I can hear everything. I don't know if that's from childhood trauma or being a mother or what, every little I hear. So sleeping with somebody was very difficult for me. I'm not comfortable. I'm hot. I'm cold. The fan on, the window open, the 50 covers. It's a shit show. And I don't think anybody should be subjected to it. As I've gotten older, I realized that there's a weird point in your being where you might decide being alone, living alone, is better for you and your mental health. And being alone physically and being lonely are two different states of being. And I need people to understand that because there's this assumption that older women, I'm not going to speak on a man because I'm not a man. I don't know what they do. I don't know what they go through. And we already know how that went with the grandmothers and the grandfathers story. For women, it is giving spinster, old cat lady, miserable, that something must be wrong with us. And I think that it's a very interesting thing. So I have two aunts. One has passed many years ago, and then I have another aunt that's still with us, God bless. And my aunt, Doreen, that passed many, many years ago, I was like 15 years old and she had cancer. But what I remembered about her is that she lived alone for many years before she passed away. And she would be in her house and she would drink a little bit and she would listen to her jazz and go to work and lived a very good life and didn't bother anybody. And then during holidays, she would show up to your house, curse you out, and then go home. That's the life I lived. But she never struck me as lonely, but she lived alone. And it was okay. My older aunt, that is still here, that I go to church with. A couple of weeks ago, I went to lunch with her after church, and I had been asking my mother certain things as they get older, and I decided to ask my aunt at this lunch, and I said, who was the love of your life? And she had two husbands, and she said which husband was actually the love of her life, and her face, like she was back there, okay? She was back there. And it was so lovely to see that. But she has lived alone now for many years. No partner. And then that goes to my mommy. My mommy and my dad don't share a room. And it has worked for them for years. My dad is cold sleeper, so he wraps himself up. He gets cold. My mom is a hot sleeper. She has the air conditioner on probably 11 and a half months out of the year. She will like a snack in the middle of the night. She likes the TV on all the time. So there are different reasons but it works for them. And so I think that the mindset is when you are a couple, you must sleep together. You must do things together. And I think having your own outside activities is very important into a relationship and a marriage. But it went back to the first thing that I shared with you, the Cheryl Lee Ralph and the Keke Palmer. And there has been a shift in me where after Eddie and all that brought, altering my whole life and being and who I am, I don't think me living with someone again or someone living here or moving in with me is my ministry anymore. There's something happened that has shifted the idea of me living with someone. And it doesn't make me sad, where I think sometimes society wants us to be so sad and downtrodden that we're living alone. And it goes back to people who don't have children. Well, what are you going to do if you don't have children? What is left if you don't have children? Are y'all okay? When I saw that, and when I saw the person saying that her and her husband have a Mr. and Madam suite, and people were so concerned about that, I was like, I wonder why that people felt so angry about it or so compelled to comment such negativity, that if you do not sleep in the bed together, spooning, butt to butt, toe on your man, or vice versa, that indicates a bad relationship. And I don't think that that's true. I think that is something that just works for you. What I'm finding is I don't want anybody in my space. I don't. Because I feel like I'm curating a space for myself that feels, I remember when I made the announcement that I was going to move, and the kids were so excited, and it was like a grown-up space for you, kid-free. I've never lived without a kid. When I got pregnant with my daughter 100 years ago, I moved into an apartment, and then shortly thereafter, she arrived. I have never lived without a human being ever. So living in this space by myself is really a discovery of who I am, and not having to share that with someone, maybe letting myself be a little selfish, because we don't do that. Some of us don't do that. I don't do that. Anything I do, I try to do to accommodate or make it work for my children. So this was an opportunity for me to be a little selfish. There is a bedroom for Nico because he's in college, and he won't be in college forever. But he's coming home less and less. When he first got there, it was a little adjustment, but now he's really coming into his own and enjoying it. So I'm not gonna lie. Last week, him being home for spring break, we were looking at each other like, what are you doing here? What are you doing here? Because this is my space. This is my space alone, and I'm loving it, and I'm enjoying doing what I want. Like, where are you going to put your stuff? Why you got you know what I mean? So I just was so intrigued at the ladies saying that something that is a real thing, that it is okay, and whatever works for you. There's women that commented, I could never not sleep in the bed with my partner. And I know that's right. Because everywhere Eddie went, I'm like, where are you going? All right, I'm gonna sit over there too. I've said it 1,000 times. I don't want anything that good again. My heart can't take it. I want me. I can't do that again. So I think, unfortunately, for the next person that I meet, that would have to be something that was discussed. I don't know what the future holds, but having my own space and having my own life doesn't feel as daunting as I thought it might have been like 6 years ago. Because before I met Eddie, there was this like secret, like somewhere out in the universe, like, you know, Grim Reaper kind of being that it's like, you're by yourself. What are you going to do? And to be honest with you, my children have verbalized it and are very honest about it. You know, they were concerned because my whole being had been their mom. And I joke that my pronouns are ma, mommy, and ma. I feel like I'm all grown up now, that I'm okay to navigate this life alone if I have to. And the tears are for the loss of the life that I thought I was going to have, which would have been with Eddie. And then now the new normal that I'm going to have to experience. And that, not have to, I meet somebody, he sent by Eddie, and he and I run off to the Casbah, that's fine. But I'm okay if not. And so the wine today was really just to talk about the fact that as women, again, I'm only speaking for women, I can't speak for anyone else. As for women, we are coming into a point that we are okay with our own company and are not letting society label us as anything else than a woman who's comfortable with who she is. I have, friends or cohorts in this age range, even a little older, that are looking fabulous and looking good and have their own apartment and are traveling like never before. And if you just want to have some sleepovers, why isn't that okay? Why does it bother society so much that we can be okay alone? I'm glad that we're changing the narrative of what looks right to people, and it doesn't matter what looks right to anybody. Easy, my edges, the wedding's in a couple weeks. It doesn't matter what looks like right to anybody else. It has to look right for you. But again, it goes back to the Karen comment, and it goes back to other things that I've talked about. Sometimes, because of the way we've been programmed, this generation, sometimes you just need to hear it out loud for permission to do the things that you want to do without feeling like people are judging you. Living alone or having a partner that has their own space, their own activities, their own lives is really important. I think we are giving ourselves permission to break societal norms into what they think a marriage or relationship is supposed to look like. If you can't sleep without your partner's heel on you, that's okay. And if you can't sleep with your partner's heel on you, that's okay too. So that's what today's wine was about. Just having your own space, your own areas, your own things, can be healthy, but at the end of the day, do what works for you and your partner. What do you think about that? Anyway, thank you so much. Like, subscribe, turn on the notifications so you know when I'm talking. And I promise next up is going to be an apartment tour. I didn't think anybody cared, but when I made the video about it was the first of the month and I'm using all the amenities, people were like, oh my God, you moved. And I didn't move. I moved, but I didn't move. I'm in the same building. So we'll talk about that next. But thanks so much, guys, for subscribing. Like, this is really good. I'm having such a good time doing this, ranting and talking and whining. And thanks for listening.